Welcome to the second episode of the Three Sportsmen podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kurt.
I'm Sam.
I'm Trey.
So the NFL draft was this past weekend, and I'm sure we have a lot of thoughts about it. So we're going to start off by talking about what we think of our team's draft class. So the Bears didn't get the most attention this draft weekend, but I think they had a pretty good draft class. What do you think, Trey?
I think all around it was the best Brian Pace could have done without having a first-round pick. In the second round, they started with the 43rd pick, and they drafted Cole Kmet from Notre Dame, who's a really big receiver. He's athletic. He's great once he catches it, yards after catch.
He's got great hands.
Yeah, and he really wanted to be a Bear.
When I watched him at Notre Dame, he's got some speed too. He can run. He's got really good hands. It's if you throw the ball up, he'll go get it.
I think the only flaw he has, he just needs to be more consistent in his blocking. But other than that, I think he's the total package as a tight end. Next, they had Jalen Johnson from Utah, cornerback, who I think was their best pick in the draft overall. Really great.
Guy who I really liked.
He was injured, which made him go to the second round, or else he would have been a first-round talent. So I think that's a really good pick by the Bears. They didn't address O-line until the seventh round, which was really a mistake, I think. Pace said that new offensive line coach Juan Castillo's scheme is what's going to improve the offensive line. I highly disagree with that. So what do you guys think about that?
I think you needed to address your O-line, and doing that in the seventh round probably is not the best idea because as a Vikings fan, I know how important having a halfway decent offensive line is. And you're not going to get those guys in the seventh round most of the time.
Especially with pass rushes in this division, except for the Lions. There's a lot of three teams in this division have an insane pass rush. That's it. And I would probably say that this division probably has the best pass rushing teams.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
At least that comes to mind.
I mean, yeah, I know that there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, there's the 49ers in the NFC West. No,
they have a really good pass rush.
And
Aaron Donald in LA.
The Rams. But
Chandler Jones in Arizona. But I think a pass rush isn't just one guy.
A pass rush is not defined by one guy, like Green Bay, the Smith Bros. And then the Bears have got Mack and Goldman, and
we added Quinn too. We added Quinn, and we have Hicks.
Exactly.
Daniil Hunter, Michael Pierce up in Minnesota. Still a chance Everson Griffin comes back, but if not, I think we have a good rotation.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the Bears draft, I would give it a B. I mean, they addressed all their other needs, but O-line is definitely going to be an issue. Kurt, what do you think about the Vikings draft?
I honestly really like the Vikings draft. Totally wasn't expecting Justin Jefferson to still be on the board at 22. I was expecting he'd be in Philadelphia at 21. So the fact that he fell to the Vikings is something that I really like. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Stephon Diggs, but getting a really solid receiver with the pick that we got in the Stephon Diggs trade, I think was a really good move. We did address the offensive line in the second round with Ezra Cleveland from Boise State. I think this means that Riley Reiff is going to be moved to left guard now. And the fact that Cleveland did block for one of our running backs, Alex Madison, in college, it's not the biggest thing, but I think it helps. Having a running back who knows that, yeah, this is a good offensive lineman who could be really successful for this team. It helps. But my favorite part of the Vikings draft was the cornerbacks. Jeff Gladney from TCU was a guy who I wasn't expecting to be there when we traded back from 25 to 31. But I think he has potential to be a shutdown cornerback. But my favorite player from this draft class has to be Mississippi State cornerback Cameron Dantzler. He's a guy whose 40 time pushed him towards the end of the third round. He ran a 4.68 at the combine, which was one of the worst, if not the worst, among cornerbacks, if I remember correctly. And he had a 4.38 at his virtual pro day. But some stats about him: career red zone coverage, 15 targets. he only allowed 1 reception, no touchdowns. And throughout his entire college career, only 1 game, I believe, with more than 60 yards in coverage that he allowed. So this is a guy who, in Mike Zimmer's defense, where cornerbacks are really important, is a guy who I think could be really successful. I really like that pick. So, Sam, the Packers had an interesting draft, to say the least. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think Jordan Love in the first round was not the greatest decision. I think I don't really know what else. I think we should have taken a receiver first round, but I mean, I guess for the future, it's for I guess he was looking into the future. Our GM was looking into the future, so I can't complain about it. So we'll have a good franchise quarterback in 3 or 4 years. But the pick that I've been liking a lot is the second round pick of AJ Dillon out of Boston College. I watched a bunch of tape from him. He's a beast.
He's a monster.
I think he has a chance to be a very, very good player in this league. I think he does.
And Aaron Jones is a free agent after this season, so I would assume that he's going to want a lot of money.
That's the reason why we're going to be getting rid of Jamal Williams, is because we're most likely going to get rid of Jamal Williams, is because of because Aaron Jones is obviously going to have to get paid. Because you can't tell me that a guy that had a touchdown basically every single game this past season is not going to get paid. I can't tell you exactly how many yards he had, but he definitely surpassed 1,000.
Oh, for sure. He for sure did.
He had that 4 touchdown game against Dallas.
Yeah, he did.
Which, just from a statistical perspective, is insane.
Speaking of Dallas, Jerry Jones drafting his team on his super yacht, just casual.
Getting CeeDee Lamb.
It worked out. He had a great draft. Diggs and Lamb. That's a good
draft.
And they
got in the 3rd round, I'm pretty sure they got Neville Gallimore.
Hey, if you're not with that, you guys can't jump on the bandwagon, because if you're not with them when they were 8-8, you can't be with them when they're 8-7.
8-7-1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we're saying. But there were a lot of other surprising picks. I think, to me, the most surprising one had to have been Jalen Hurts going to Philadelphia.
Oh my God!
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
But
yeah, I mean, they could be looking for insurance in case Wentz gets hurt again.
That's what I'm thinking. And I have a feeling that Carson Wentz's injury concerns could be a problem later in his career, and they're going to want.
Carson Wentz is not the greatest quarterback ever.
He was really good for 12 games. Then he got hurt. Then Nick Foles won them a Super Bowl.
He's mediocre. Wentz, he's mediocre.
I think he still could be really good, but I don't know. If he keeps on getting hurt, he's not going to be good. Which goes without saying, but I like that they have a guy who can just step in immediately if he gets hurt. But do you think
that's another thing about Jordan Love. That's another thing about Jordan Love. Like, now now the Packers have a solid guy to step in if Rodgers gets hurt.
It's insurance.
Do you think that Jalen Hurts is going to play a Taysom Hill-esque role in Philadelphia?
No, he's not big enough for that.
I don't think he is, but I've heard rumors of it.
I mean, he's fast, but he's not fast enough.
No.
Plus, he's not big enough, because Taysom Hill can line up as the tight end spot. Because he was a blocking tight end for a while, wasn't he?
Taysom Hill?
Yeah, like, didn't the Saints have as a blocking role for a little bit? Like,
he's played special teams
sophomore year.
Yeah.
He played special teams, and he's basically done everything in the Saints offense.
Very versatile.
But I don't see him as a franchise quarterback. They signed Jameis Winston.
They did. Orleans. I saw that earlier today.
That was interesting.
I mean,
interesting move.
I've seen a lot of jokes about how he already has a lot of experience throwing to Saints players.
He does.
He does. It's funny. He does. And because Drew Brees, let's be real, he's probably going to retire 2-3 years. if
Give
not
it
after
one or
this
two.
year. If not after this year.
I say he's got 2 more. I think that's
I
what
think
his
one or
contract
two.
is.
Yeah, I think that's what most quarterbacks are going to do right now because I think Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, I think all Phillip Rivers, I think they're all just going to ride out their contracts.
I think Rodgers still has more in the tank than the rest of them, though.
Yeah.
Rodgers definitely does. It's just I don't know if the organization is going to want him to go more than 5+ years.
5+ years, I don't see, but for a good at least 2 or
4,
3.
he has 4 left on his contract.
I say he goes
So at
4
least
more.
2 or 3.
He's not going to be like Tom Brady where he just ditched them and went to Tampa Bay.
I have a feeling that Rodgers is going to be a guy who they restructure to win now and then like cut or trade him or do something with his contract.
I don't think
that
he's
last
going to get
year.
traded. I think it's either he plays in Green Bay or he retires in Green Bay.
But I could see a contract restructure possible
Potentially.
to win now.
Maybe.
If they were to make
Probably
a trade
to
for a star receiver.
To restructure it to re-sign Aaron Jones possibly.
That's a good point.
That's probably what we're going to end up doing.
I mean, it would make sense to do that. Now, in terms of some other really good draft picks, of course, the Redskins got Denzel Mims. Do you want to talk about the Jets right now?
He's got Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. I do like the fact that the Jets addressed their 2 biggest positional needs. Mekhi Becton was a guy who I didn't think was going to be on the board at 11.
You mean drug boy?
He did fail that drug test.
Yeah, the Jets
I don't know, but I like the fact that they were able to get him. They got Ashton Davis from Cal. I think he could be really solid alongside Jamal Adams.
He's going to hate himself. Well, the only part of him that will not hate himself is because he's playing next to probably the best safety in the game right now.
One of, if not the best.
That's a plus.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything else sucks, though.
You know,
I mean,
Jamal
at least
Adams,
they won't get beat by Tom Brady twice a year.
It's going to be his 3rd year, correct? This is going to be Jamal Adams' 3rd year, correct?
Adams was in that draft class with Trubisky, so that's going to be 4.
4?
Still, he's got 2 more years under his contract, assuming.
He's got this upcoming season, and then the first-round option, which I would assume the Jets would.
Yeah, they're going to take that.
Because Jamal Adams is the only thing that they have.
As of right now, yeah.
Who do they have? Le'Veon Bell?
Le'Veon.
There's always an issue with him every year, Le'Veon Bell.
He's a bust. He was only good in
– He was great, Pittsburgh. But I think –
Look at that. I'm already forgetting where he was playing because I'm forgetting
sitting out that year was a horrible choice on his part.
Oh, yeah.
It was a terrible choice.
He got paid.
Same with Melvin Gordon.
Running backs just aren't going to get paid.
No, they're not.
Ezekiel Elliott's getting overrated like he always is.
He has a good offensive line.
He has a great offensive line.
Exactly. That's the only that's how the Cowboys roll. Like DeMarco Murray. Do you remember when he went to the Titans? Dude, he was terrible.
He was
the offensive line got him the money.
When he was in Philly, he was horrible.
No, yeah, he went
to Philly first.
I thought he went to Tennessee first.
He went to Philly first, then was cut by them after a year, I want to say. He only played 1 season in Philly. And then he went to the Titans for 2 years?
I think so. And then
Derrick Henry took over.
Yep.
Derrick Henry is just being Derrick Henry.
He's a beast.
He's a monster. They should have paid him instead of Tannehill, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ryan Tannehill is great, but
in the playoffs, that's their whole team.
You need to pay your running back.
Derrick Henry was their whole team.
He's only a game manager, Tannehill.
You need to pay your running back first.
Yeah, and I
know everyone's saying, oh, no, don't pay running backs after Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon.
Oh, shut up.
But Derrick Henry is one of those guys who you have to pay.
That's a kid that deserves to get paid. That is a kid that deserves to get paid.
It's amazing. I mean, he proved that in the playoffs.
Exactly, he did. Because he himself beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
Hey, ended their dynasty.
Got to give some credit to Logan Ryan for getting that game-sealing pick six. Tom Brady's last pass as a Patriot.
Exactly.
They also got Christian Fulton in that secondary. I wanted him in the first and was really surprised to see him fall to the end of the second round.
Kurt, where were we the one night when the Patriots lost to the Titans?
Were we at Culver's?
Culver's.
We were at Culver's. That's
we were
right.
at Culver's.
There's a whole section
right.
cheering.
There was
against
another
the
group
Patriots.
with us.
There
was another
was a bunch
separate
of
group.
people in there just cheering when Tom Brady threw that interception.
That was so great.
That was amazing.
That was great.
That was a great night.
I think some other picks that I like. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tristan Wirfs in the first, Antoine Winfield Jr. in the second.
They had a really, really good draft.
Like, I wasn't sold on them before they got Gronk.
Surprisingly, to add to that, another team that drafted really well was the Ravens.
They did.
Because who did they take in the first round?
Patrick Queen, the LSU linebacker.
Because the Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I think that could be scary.
He could be good.
Edwards-Helaire is not a bad player.
I think he's solid.
Chiefs know what they're doing too.
The Chiefs know what they're doing.
That's who they got. The Ravens got Dobbins.
They got Dobbins, yeah, to go alongside Mark Ingram.
They also got Devin Duvernay from Texas.
It's going to be Ravens versus Chiefs just on paper. Those are obviously the two best teams in the AFC.
There might be a wild card team that sneaks in, though. You never know with the NFL.
And they got Justin Madabuki from Texas A&M to go on that D-line.
It's true.
And they got Calais Campbell in that trade from Jacksonville.
I mean, they also got Malik Harrison from Ohio State. How many Buckeyes did they draft? Now that I'm realizing it, 2? 3?
There are a lot of Buckeyes that went off the board.
So did LSU.
LSU had 14, and then some undrafted guys.
LSU was absurd.
LSU, I think LSU and Ohio State had 14 go off the board in that draft. It was crazy or something
that would make sense.
Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact stat, but it sounds like it could be in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot riding on this season, just depending on whether it even happens. But there's a lot riding on this season for the NFC North. The NFC in general, to be complete.
The NFC North is gonna. I think it could be great.
Could all three of the top teams make it?
The NFC North is either going to be tight or it's going to be all Packers.
I'm thinking it's going to be tight.
I think
I don't think that there's any in between.
I think the only NFC division that isn't going to be a potential 3-team race is the East.
The West. I'd say the West.
Really?
Well, the West have the
got
Chargers
Arizona now.
I mean, yeah, that's right.
Arizona's
being dumb right now.
The fact that they got Josh Jones in the third to address their offensive line concerns.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a 3-team race because I think that the 49ers are just going to dominate.
I think they're going to dominate, but the Cardinals are going to just – they're
as
not going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be
I hate to say the 49ers are going to dominate. I just got to deal with it.
I think that the Cardinals could be – they could be one of those annoying teams who just lingers and causes some –
got to play out.
Yeah.
The Giants had a surprisingly good draft.
Oh,
Xavier McKinney in the second.
Oh, another New York team.
Xavier McKinney in the second to go alongside Jabril Peppers.
He's good. I'm surprised he dropped that far.
Jabril Peppers is overrated. Nobody – I mean, to be completely honest, he's not good.
I mean, he was good last year. I wouldn't say he was
in college. Bad. He didn't play bad. He played like an average safety.
But still, you have to remember that secondary is still not the best at cornerback.
No, they have a lot of holes still. The Giants.
They got Julian Love from Notre Dame. He's huge. He was a big player in Notre Dame.
What about your other Notre Dame guy, Chase Claypool, going to the Steelers?
I'm gonna miss him at Notre Dame, but he's gonna do great there. He's a great player.
He's a big receiver that they're
Yeah,
going to have
he's
alongside Juju.
huge.
Yeah,
And I think out of all the teams that he could have gone to, they're the one who I don't think would convert him to tight end. I know there were a lot of people saying that the team that drafts him would do that.
Claypool's too fast to be a tight end.
No, he should stay a receiver.
And they have Eric Ebron, who's
Yeah,
going
they've
to be
got
their
Ebron. There's
starting tight
no
end.
need because they also have who's their other one? Don't they have Jesse James too?
I thought he went to Detroit. They still have Vance McDonald.
Vance McDonald. That's who I was thinking of.
I like Pittsburgh's. Pittsburgh could be another one of those annoying teams who just won't get out of the playoff race and is going to cause some games in the last couple of weeks of the season to be really meaningful.
They always hang in there every single year, always on the edge of the playoffs or in the playoffs.
I mean, they got Minka for their first round pick, so I'd take that.
Yeah.
The one last team who I think we need to talk about, Buffalo Bills. AJ Epineza in the second, Stephon Diggs
Bills
for their first round pick. What do we think
They
about
got
the Bills?
they got Fromm too.
They did get Jake Fromm.
Which was interesting.
They got Zach
laughing
Moss
because
from
I saw
Utah.
the draft cam. It cut to a picture of Jake Fromm in his house, and he was at the end of the first round. He was sitting. The expression on his face looked like he was like, "Why didn't I go in the first round?"
Really, I don't remember seing that.
I don't think he's NFL ready either, to be honest.
I don't think
he's a solid backup. I like him behind Josh Allen.
Do you want to know who else is going to be a solid backup?
I already know who you're going to say. Nate Stanley, the Viking.
Stanley.
Yes, the Viking.
I mean, I have a feeling, because this is always what happens with Vikings backups.
He's going to steal the spot from Kirk.
They play great in the preseason, and then the moment Kirk Cousins makes a bad throw, it's put in the other guy. A couple years ago was Kyle Slaughter, who he had a really good preseason, but then Kirk makes one bad throw and it's put in Kyle Slaughter. No regard to Sean Mannion, who was our actual backup last year.
I think Kurt wants Christian Ponder back.
I really do not want Christian Ponder back.
Why not?
He just wasn't that good.
His wife.
I'd be fine with Teddy coming back.
His wife is
you're going to have to pay him.
We would have to pay him. Bradford was a mistake.
1 year wonder.
He had a really good year, but definitely was not the answer.
Keenum.
Yeah, Case
Keenum was the 1 year wonder.
Oh my God, dude. Keenum wasn't because he had that really, really good year. Then he had the Minneapolis Miracle. Then went to Washington and
he went to Denver first. I want to say.
Did he get money?
Denver.
Did he get paid?
Denver paid him big.
Paid in Denver.
Denver paid him big.
Yeah,
Denver doesn't know how to pay quarterbacks.
As soon as that contract is up, we all know where that's going. It's going to Drew Lock. That kid is the real deal. I'm telling you.
They got him some weapons.
They got him some weapons. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy in that receiving core.
And Hamler.
I really want a Kansas City-Denver primetime game solely because of the offensive firepower that both sides have.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a great game.
Drew Lock and Patrick Mahomes. You've got a really good running back group in Kansas City.
I don't think Denver's offense is ready to produce as much as Kansas City's is now. Because, in my opinion, I think that Kansas City's offense is either one of the best or the best offense in the league currently.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd agree with that.
I would agree.
Like, that is a really, really good team. Like, I mean, you can't throw Patrick Mahomes on a team and tell me that offense is not going to be good.
They're going to be good.
They're either going to be – like, you can throw Patrick Mahomes on the Lions and he'll somehow make them look good. That's really saying something.
What about the Jets?
I think that's
the Jets.
The one exception. Don't be sleeping on Cleveland, though.
Jedrick Wills and Grant Delpit.
Grant Delpit's going to be good.
They got Donovan Peoples-Jones, right, from Michigan?
I think they did. Yes, they did.
He could be a solid receiver 3 to go alongside Odell and Jarvis Landry.
He needs a real offense. Like that's not. I'm not saying it's not a real offense. It's a solid offense. It's just they don't know how to use it.
I think with Stefanski, they're going to be a lot better. Freddie Kitchens was just a really bad choice for them.
Still the Browns. It's still the Browns, though.
But I do like the fact that Stefanski ran a run-heavy offense that used the tight end a lot. They have Nick Chubb. They get Austin Hooper in free agency.
Nick Chubb's
good. They still have David Njoku. And still 2-star receivers in Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry.
They have the pieces for Baker.
They have the pieces.
Odell doesn't leave.
They have the pieces. I think the question is, can they finally get it together? That was the question last year.
I doubt it.
It's going to be interesting. Okay, so those were our thoughts on the 2020 NFL Draft. We really appreciate any support, so please like this podcast, follow or subscribe, depending on whether you're listening on YouTube or SoundCloud. We'd really appreciate that support. We now have social media, so you can follow us.
On Twitter at podcastt3s.
Or on Instagram at T3S Podcast.
We'd really appreciate any support. Once again, this will be a weekly podcast, so tune in next week. This has been the 3 Sportsmen, and remember, trust the podcast.